in a back three, just trying to neutralize a team in Nashville that, was maybe struggling to create chances this season. Overall, didn't give up a lot. The two things that we talked about were Schaffelberg on the dribble and his crosses and cutting them out and taking the last step, and then Surge's movement in the box. And we let ourselves down on that play, but I thought overall, second half came out with a little more life, made an adjustment or two, and the guys deserve all the credit for pushing and getting the 2 goals and winning a big game against a strong Nashville team on the road.
Thanks, Jim. Matt DeGeorge.
Hey Jim, how obviously the goal aside, how well do you think that formation did that you started with in terms of accomplishing your goals for today? And how important do you think it was getting that extra body into midfield when you put Alejandro on?
Yeah, look, I think when you look at the first half, it was kind of a nothing half, right, Matt? There wasn't a ton for us. We certainly didn't create a lot. And if you get in at halftime with a 0, you say, I think the formation and the plan worked well. When you make a mistake and you concede the way we did, and you start to have a little bit of doubt. So not a ton of creation in that formation in the first half, but at the same time, didn't give up a lot. So I think there were some positives and some negatives. It's still something I think we can go to against a certain opponent. The thinking was, they played the same formation as us, and we wanted to mirror them, make it hard against a team that is at home and needs to push the game. Hope was they would leave a little more space in behind. They played with 3 really solid defensive-minded midfielders as well and clogged the middle, so it was difficult for us to break them down. So you got kind of a stalemate in the first half there, and I thought second half, we went back to the diamond. Guys, look, you guys know in that formation, we're certainly the roles are clear for our guys because we've been really good at it for the last 6 years, and we know the spacing a little bit better. So I would say it both formations showed some good things. Certainly the diamond is still our number one, and it proved well tonight, and the guys really stuck with things, and I thought deserved the win. It's not easy to go on the road and create as many chances as we did in the second half there, and come away with a big 3 points.
And I know Jose doesn't do it alone, but the job that he does on Hani to
Yeah.
kind of keep him fairly quiet, how well do you think you guys neutralized that threat today?
Yeah, Mukhtar's an MVP type player. And again, part of the reasons we played with 3 center backs is he doesn't play as a true striker. Serge would be up there and Mukhtar comes off the back line. And our message was one of the 3 center backs, go with him all the time. He's the best player on the field. He's the guy who can win the game by himself. So that was the thinking of playing with our 3 great center backs that we have. Always be releasing to him. So we're always still 2 center backs back there against their attacker. We did a good job shielding him too. Like you said, Jose won a lot of duels with Mukhtar and always knew where he was, cut out passing lanes. Damian had some good one-on-one individual battles. Glesnes had a good game as well, and Jack in the first half made some plays. So team effort to get around a guy that's an MVP type player. You'll never stop him completely for 90 minutes, but I thought we did a good job limiting where he touched the ball on the field.
Joe Tanzi.
Hey Jim, how are you?
Hi.
Um, a lot of professional teams like to use the word culture, and sometimes it means nothing unless something gets shown on the field. These results now coming from behind multiple times to start a season, a lot of long road trips. How much does it speak to your particular culture within the club that it seems like none of these guys are giving up, and you're finding ways to not just draw but win some of these games as well?
Yeah, I give the players all the credit there. They have a ton of heart. They're never out of a game. They'll play to the final whistle. And again, it's been instilled in them. From minute 1 to minute 90, anything can happen, and we stick with things. Do we play perfect, beautiful soccer all the time? No, but at the same time, I think you know, we we do everything for the badge, for our fans, for the Philadelphia Union badge, for the city. And these guys give everything, and that's kind of ingrained in them now. They've been through the battles together. Don't underestimate the importance too. As much as I hate losing, our one loss this year was I'll just say an ass kicking, and it was an ass kicking early in the season, and that is something that I think can be. You can still find good in. You can have a little bit of a reset, not get too high, and realize that we need all 11 guys really working their ass off like they did tonight to get a win and get a result. So proud of the group. We'll stay undefeated, try and push this as long as we can. A lot of road games, which makes it hard, but we know after we get through these tough stretches, we'll be back in Subaru Park in front of our fans with I'll just say a heavy loaded home game schedule coming up.
And then real quick on the injury front, obviously Andre and Mikhail don't make it tonight.
Yeah.
And then Kai looked like he came off with something. What's the status of all those guys?
Yeah, Mikel trained on Thursday. He has plantar fascia in his foot. It bothered him too much to train again on Friday, so he didn't make the trip. Andre was cleared to play, trained Friday, and as injuries often go, took Quinny went in one-on-one with him, flicked the ball and hit Andre right in the head, and we were precautious with that and wanted to be smart and not push too hard on that. So aired on safety, which I think was the right decision. Dre wasn't able to make the trip. And then, Kai picks up a knock today, just a contact injury, no twist or damage to the knee, just more of a bruise and kind of a dead leg, for lack of a better way to put it.
Jonathan?
Hey Jim. Obviously Daniel gets the winner there at the end, but I wanted to maybe zoom out on him as a player for a second, where he obviously in 22 was firmly in the MVP race and still was super productive last year, and now seems to kind of be finding his stride again. Just
Yeah.
how important is he for you all, and what's your perspective on him just as a player who is wearing the 10, but isn't the traditional 10 we think of in this league, and oftentimes just due to the profile and way he goes about the game?
Yeah, the last thing I say before the guys go out for every game is the front three, as you guys go, the 7 behind will follow, So if they're willing to work, and Danny worked his tail off defensively tonight, and you are right, he is not the traditional number 10 who just plays, one side of the ball, stands in the middle, and just looks to play through balls. He does it through work. He does it through volume. And if he messes up 8 times, he's going to come at you again the 9th time. He has an uncanny way, and I've never seen this with any player I've worked with. His movement in the box, and tonight's another example. I say it all the time. It's like he goes invisible and people don't see him because he gets wide open for a guy who, isn't the biggest presence and scores a lot of goals, whether it's with his head, a ball that bounces to him. He just has a way of kind of ghosting in there late into the box. And whether you look at his goals in Hungary, you look at his goals here with us, he has a real knack for that. Last year it was a lot of PKs, but we love the run of play goals as much as anything. So you're right, untraditional number 10, but one that suits our style and suits our DNA and what we're about, and plays both sides of the ball really hard. And I always tell him and Julian the same thing. The harder they work, the tap-ins, it's no coincidence. The tap-ins and the special goals like tonight come in because they both had 2 really good goals tonight, I thought.
Is there a next step for him? And if so, what might that be?
There's always a next step for players, right? There's no such thing as, is he too young? Is he too old to go to back to Europe to a top club? There's only good and bad. I'm a big believer in that. So with all of our young talent, with a player like Danny, who isn't considered young anymore, he's still a great age and could help any team in Europe. So he has a big summer coming up with us, obviously, a big summer also at the Euros. And again, he can go and play anywhere, but I want him to play here in Philadelphia.
Jose Nunez?
Hi, Jim. Congratulations. As you're sort of hitting into next steps, we see Julian Carranza continue to score in bunches and perform well and really show up when it matters the most.
Yeah.
A lot of chatter about his future and sort of, I guess, I'm wondering, how are you all preparing to, whether you have him in the summer, don't have him after the season, what is your mindset or what is your thinking here as he continues to impress and do what he's supposed to do, which is score?
Yeah, I love Julian Carranza. Not because he scores goals, but because, again, he's a great person. He's really a humble kid, gets along with everybody in the locker room, but he's also a killer, and he's nasty and he's mean on the field. and he'll do anything to score a goal and to help the team win. So that's a true striker's goal tonight. When we need a big one, can you win? Get us a goal that kind of turns the whole momentum of the game. That's what the best strikers do. As far as him being here, like I've said before, I want our best players to stay here forever. I'm also not naive to know that a lot of clubs in Europe are going to come asking for him. All I can do is work with him as best I can, as long as I can, and him do the same. He's going to give everything for this club. He's going to give everything for the badge. He's going to try and score as many goals as possible. I think he asks me every game if he can get back on PKs because I know he wants to win the Golden Boot here. But no, he's an incredible person, incredible player. I say all the time, if you could mold the perfect, Philadelphia Union striker, he is it. He really is. And yeah, we'll see what the future holds. I'd love it for it to be here, but I also know how many clubs are going to be interested in a goal scorer like that.
And as you share some more of the timeline with Andre, obviously, Andrew, you mentioned it's a good thing. Obviously,
Yeah.
It's great for him to continue to get these opportunities to travel with the team, practice with the team, etc. This is the third one out of the 4 allotted. Is this putting some more and more pressure for you and Ernst to make a decision here on what you're going to do with him or from outside coming in?
Yeah, look, it's a decision we're comfortable with, but it's just a strange one because it's a silly rule, I understand why they're in place, so then teams couldn't just have 40-man rosters. But in this instance, we're not manipulating things at all. We have a goalkeeper on a concussion, so can't we just call up one of our own and have it not be some penalty attached to it where we have to now weigh and measure? Do we call him up again because then it triggers something and then this roster spot and someone else maybe has to get cut because of it? It's just unfortunate and it puts some people in some awkward situations. So, I get why the rule's in place though, because again, then you'd have 40 people. You could, in theory, have one of these big multi-million-dollar spending teams have a 40-man, NYCFC 2 roster, and you could just pull players up at any time. So I get why they have that rule in place. But we'll be smart about it. We're comfortable with Andrew. He's doing great to get experience like this. Oliver too, in a game where, he didn't have a ton to do, still playing in front of 30,000 people on the road. For Rick to be here and experience that's part of development and it's good for the kid. But you're right. Now we have a little bit of a strange situation where we'll have to decide at what moment is right to have him still travel with us or just trigger it. Again, we're comfortable with either. It's just strange. And I don't have the answer. Sorry, right now,
No, of course. Thank you. Congratulations. Safe travels.
Thanks.
Matt the George.
Just wanted to clarify something. So is Andre back in concussion protocol?
It's a good question because it happened the last second of practice, and it was kind of like I saw Dre with ice on his head on more of like in the eye area. So I don't have that answer exactly. I just knew it wasn't smart for him to come, so we left it at that. I don't know exactly what day he's on, where he's at exactly. So I'll find out for you, and that'll be, I'm sure, the first question for next week too.
I suppose that's better than yes, he's definitely in concussion.
Yeah, I guess so. Sure.
And final question to go to Kyle Money.
Hey Jim, Cincinnati and LA Galaxy went down tonight. How's it feel to be the only undefeated team in MLS right now? And also your thought on Olivier Bizo performance tonight coming in second half.
Yeah, first on Olivier, he came in and was excellent. Gave us some real good attacking down that right-hand side, rolled a ball or two through Mukhtar's legs, and it led to opening up some passes. And the first goal he was big on, the pass that leads to the pass to make a play. So overall, really good. It's not easy, but again, these guys, you talk about the culture from the earlier question from Joe. These guys are all ready whenever they're called upon. And that is the definition of being a professional. They could easily, complain and go off in 2s and 3s and just sulk and be sad together and say, coach isn't giving me time or this and that. But instead they're just ready to go. And Olivier stepped in and to a fast-paced game and did a great job helping us for sure. As far as the undefeated thing, that's nice. you know, we're going to try and push it as long as we can. I have given some incentive to the guys in this 2-game stretch here before we get a week where we have a little bit of a bye. Again, players are motivated by very simple things. Before, it's been pizza and beer for 3 consecutive shutouts with us. This time going into these last 2 road games, so Nashville and Atlanta, I said for each win, I'll give you a day off, additional day off. So, you know, things happen on the field that maybe they have a little more urgency in certain moments, that these guys will, I'll just say, fight and die for days off as well. So they're human beings. So, you know, I think that they're motivated by that. We'll try and push the unbeaten streak as long as possible. We know we have to go to Atlanta, which is a brutal place to play. But again, I told them, you know, for each win, it'll be a day off. So they've added 1 day off during that stretch. 2 ties would have equaled 1 total day off. So just for the record there, so you guys all understand. But yeah, we'll see how we do. And it'll be a tough test down in Atlanta. We'll recover, regroup, hopefully get Andre back, hopefully get Mikal back, and go again.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.